can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free.
What's up, FT? Scotty Braun, Erik Kratz, A.J. Pierzynski. We do the show live every day, by the way, 1 to 3 Eastern. So if you're catching us on YouTube or on the Bally Sports app or on TV later on, you can also catch the show live, 1 to 3. If you're watching now, hello. And also please subscribe to our FT YouTube channel, get involved in the chat, and watch more of our content. You know how usually when the show starts, I have some dumb thing?
Like not wearing a microphone?
Yeah.
Is that your dumb thing today?
It's so dumb.
It's part of it. It's all part of it.
This is what I was going to say, though, today. So usually I say something stupid for the first few minutes of the show, but I don't have anything stupid today. So do you guys have anything stupid, or you just want to start going over topics?
Stupid is as stupid does.
What about you, AJ?
Anything stupid? I'm still trying to figure out the Padres call. They had Mike Winters on last night, and I still can't figure out what his ruling was. Because what he said was because it hit the fence and the fence was tilted in and there's one padding that was tilted in, therefore it doesn't count as a home run. And I still couldn't figure it out what he said. It just didn't make any sense why, a ball can hit off the top of the wall and bounce over, but if it hits in the padding, there's one piece of padding tilted in, and the guy hits it over, it's a ground rule double. It's still a stupid ruling.
So why was the padding like that? It was just messed up? It just happened to be
tilted in. Just happened to be tilted that way. Conspiracy theory, the MLB.
Yeah, if the Padres missed the playoffs by 1 game, just saying. Not saying they would have won it, only tied it up, but anytime you get another chance, especially against the Marlins. But just saying.
Outfield walls ruin seasons every year. It could be this year. And last year, it certainly ruined a season for a pretty good ball player on the Yankees. He needed some padding.
It ruined Aaron Rowan's face for a few weeks.
It did. A lot of cases like that. I think Bryce Harper, what was it, rookie years? Remember?
Well, in L.A.?
L.A.
Well, he was just running. He had no idea the wall was there. Yeah. That was his own fault.
But didn't he run into like a screen thing, AJ? Remember that? Wasn't it no padding on that thing? Wasn't it covering the out-of-town scoreboard?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was regular fence.
Yeah, just a regular fence.
Yeah.
He hit it hard, too.
He did. He doesn't.
Don't forget the guy for the Yankees that his first big league game slid in Chicago and blew his knee out and never played again.
Dustin Fowler?
Dustin Fowler.
Yeah, Dustin Fowler, yeah.
Then got traded to the
A's. With Caprillion. Yeah.
Womp womp.
All right, good reminiscing. Now let's talk ball. Let's charge the mound.
Charging the mound.
Mookie Betts is back. It's Mookie plus Ohtani driving in all of the runs in a win for the Dodgers. This was kind of like the classic dream game, AJ, where you've got your 2 biggest superstars. I guess Freddie is in that picture too, but your 2 top players on that team, position player-wise, driving in all of the runs, and Clayton Kershaw dealing well enough, 5 2/3 shutout for them to pick up a dub against Freddie Peralta and the Milwaukee Brewers. So what'd you think? Mookie looked like he's going to be pretty good out there in right field and batting second?
Mookie's going to be just fine. I think the bigger story here is Clayton Kershaw pitching well. I mean, we knew Mookie's going to come back and be fine. Mookie can hit. Mookie's athletic. Mookie would fit right into right field. But I think for me, the bigger story is Clayton Kershaw, 5 2/3 against a team that's been swinging it pretty well, the Brewers. To do that, I mean, when the Dodgers needed it from a starter, to see Clayton Kershaw go out, and especially after he's had a couple clunkers, to do that, that was the biggest story for me of that game.
The Brewers need to figure out how to hit lefties. I don't know who you're going to run into in the playoffs. If you somehow run into the Braves, Max Fried, Chris Sale, Brewers are out again, early exit. They have to figure out how to hit lefties because they haven't. Their strikeout rate is higher. Everything is higher on the bad end, except for batting average, ISO, all that stuff versus lefties. It's bad. Not to take anything away from Kershaw, but some of the pitches he was throwing, they were swinging under his slider. He's just a long line of lefties that has really dominated the Brewers this year.
Is there somebody that hits left-handed pitching well on that team?
I mean, historically, Rhys Hoskins.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. But, his splits are actually pretty much even versus righties and lefties. He's worse against lefties this year. 722 OPS, 764 against righties. That's immediately, you saw. I mean, you're looking at my screen. I mean, I went right to Rhys first to see what the updated splits are. That's the same as the Yankees. I haven't looked at them as much recently. We'll get to them later in the last few weeks, but it's a problem. Some teams have that issue. Were you surprised, AJ, that Amed Rosario got cut? I mean, he got DFA'd. They just traded for him 5 minutes ago. I mean, I was like, did he do something wrong? No, I was like, I've barely seen him. Yeah, he's had 12 plate appearances. He was actually playing pretty well before he got there, but I just think they have too much depth. Hayward's going to lose time. He might even get cut too by the time everyone comes back, him or Kiermaier, right? Like, they're not going to be able to keep some of these household names, and they're going to end up on another team.
Amed Rosario, yeah. I mean, they just traded for him. They didn't give up much to get him. They did it. They traded for him last year too. Let's not forget. But yeah, this was surprising. I don't know. Geez, that Dave Roberts quote right there is, I don't see a lot of runway for him when we get guys coming back. That means they don't know where he's going to play. That means Miguel Rojas is your shortstop every day. That means when Tommy Edman comes back, he protects Rojas and he plays center field. Max Muncy's got to be getting close to coming back. You have Kike who can bounce around. Amed Rosario was just the last man out, and it sucks for him, but I'm sure he'll latch on somewhere. Probably a playoff team. If you're a playoff team, you need a veteran utility guy. How would you not go get this guy, especially the Brewers, if you need someone to hit lefties? Because historically he's hit lefties well.
When they say they don't have a runway for him, Kratz, what about super utility off the bench?
They have that. They have super utility. Your right field superstar is your super utility. Started as your shortstop. You thought he was good enough. If you keep Amed Rosario around, it's because you don't have a shortstop. Like, a lot of teams don't have a backup big league shortstop. They have a guy who can play short, but they don't have a backup big league shortstop. You can throw Kike in there for a few games.
Well, Ahmed's still on the team right now. Wouldn't you think he would have gotten cut?
So there you go.
Instead of Rosario?
So there you go.
Yeah.
They're
They
taking
picked
that.
They picked Nick Ahmed over him, basically, is what happened.
Yeah.
For now. Now, it's all going to change when Max comes back and Edmund comes back, because then it's going to get real interesting, because playing time is going to get real tight.
Some teams are sitting watching them, like checking out the Max Muncy and Tommy Edman rehabs and going, oh, we're about to hit the waiver wire, baby. We're about to upgrade the roster. Can't make trades at this point. Those guys can help teams.
If Chris Taylor ever comes back, I think it'll be a short. He might rehab and they might cut him. Like, when you have so many big names, when you have so many guys, such great depth, you're going to know the names of the guys they're cutting. There's other guys today that were cut from teams, I'm sure, that you just don't know that name. I mean, Amed Rosario's hitting 305 this year.
That's
like,
why
if there's a team
it's notable.
Right. If there's a team that can't use, like, you already have, the Brewers already have, short and second, those do, Rang and Adames play every day. So you can't necessarily find a spot there. But, I mean, Amed Rosario can play other positions against lefties. Guys aren't hitting against lefties. Got to give guys days off if you get somebody in there that can hit.
All right, let's get to another lefty in the division. First, though, Dodgers territory is going to pop up at a special time this week. We had yesterday's show, the usual Monday action, and then Wednesday, so that's tomorrow, is the next Dodgers territory instead of Thursday. Sometimes there's some switching based on scheduling during the middle of the week, so that show will follow ours tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern time. You can check it out on the Dodgers territory YouTube channel, and Steven Nelson, Dodgers broadcaster, will rejoin the show. I think he's the first guy to, there might have been a writer or two, but one of the first return customers to the show.
We'll double up.
Watched him first time around. Steven's great. Steven roasted the A's a couple weeks ago, and it was just perfectly done. Not the A's team, but the way the whole situation went down. You know the deal.
That was a long, is that called a diatribe?
Diatribe?
Diatribe? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
That was a long
California
speech.
Guy. He knew. He nailed it. Anyway, AL West, great battle. San Francisco loses to Atlanta 1-0. Sale and Snell were going at it. Obviously, we just had Snell on the show last week, AJ. He's dealing right now. And I know we talked about him during the trade deadline, but he still can help vault the Giants into a playoff spot. You mentioned the whole 4 teams from the NL West could potentially be in the playoffs, and we had Levi Weaver, who writes the daily newsletter for The Athletic, and that was one of the lead stories this morning. So he probably helped him with some creative writing today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is an old school pitcher's duel. I'd stayed up to watch this game because, besides my lock hit, boom, plus 250, thank you. Also, I just knew they were going to be good because I know Chris Sale very well. I've known Blake Snell a little bit here and there, and I knew they looked across at each other. And yes, they're not pitching against each other, but I just had a feeling this was going to be special. In San Francisco, where the ball doesn't go anywhere, these two dudes are on top of their game. I mean, Chris Sale is as good as it gets, and Blake Snell matched him pitch for pitch. And nobody's been better, I think, than what is his last 7 starts than Blake Snell with like a 0.5 ERA or some crazy numbers. And Chris Sale just doing what Chris Sale does, throwing that slider, throwing the 97 in on the righty's hands, and then change up and backdoor slider. I mean, this is what pitching. This is why starting pitching matters, because these are the matchups people watch. These are the matchups people want to see. Nobody wants to see bullpen game versus bullpen game. I want to see Sale versus Snell. Let's see who's better. And they both lived up to the hype. I mean, this game went to 10 innings. It took the extra inning rule to win it. But, man, these guys could have pitched 20 innings. I don't think anybody would ever scored.
They would. I wanted to see him. I wanted to see him just keep going. Like, don't make one of these two guys lose the game. And it doesn't happen anymore. I get that, pitch count and everything. But they were both just – you'd think a place where you don't hit a lot of home runs, they weren't going to get as many strikeouts. Your bet hit in like the 5th inning. They had like 70 pitches apiece by the time they hit the K prop. It was impressive, and they did it. To me, right now, Chris Sale, Cy Young Award winner, and Blake Snell going to opt out of his contract. That's what I saw from both those guys last night.
Yeah, Snell's opting out now. I mean, as long as he gets to the finish line healthy, teams are not going to care what it looked like for the first few months. The only thing they're going to make sure they do is sign him before, opening day. Maybe get
and tell him it's July when the season starts.
That works.
He struggled a little bit off the start last year too.
Yeah, that's true. First month and change.
I mean, compared to his last 20 starts when he had like a point-something ERA.
That was one of the turning points. He goes over his evolution, right? When he was on with us last week, he always says, I tell myself to be in the zone more, but then I'm not doing it. And that is part of his success last year, where he just refuses to give in and he'd rather walk you. And that's why the walk rate was sky high. And now during this go round, he's like, screw it, I'm going in the zone. But last year, the learning experience he kept going over was first 6 weeks. I think it was the slider. He said he couldn't get a good feel for it and it wasn't effective. So he really learned how to use his other pitches and to mix them in, pitch sequencing wise too. And then when it came back, he was like, uh-oh, you're all in trouble. So anyway.
Did you ever face him, AJ? Did you ever face Snell?
Mm-mm.
Did you?
I faced him and I caught him. And when he has, because he's taller than everybody thinks, his arms are so long. He has that downhill plane. Everything looks like it's going to be a strike. And he's only throwing whatever percentage in the zone some years. And so that's why he has those walks. Some teams just don't swing. But it just all looks like it's coming off that plane. And that's why you get some of those swings that you were getting last night on that curveball that bounces on the plate. And guys are like, because it's just too much. It's too much separation. And it all looks the same. And it all is going downhill.
You're right. I want a big win for the Braves, by the way, and Jorge Soler catches final out, which probably felt good for him getting traded from San Francisco to Atlanta. Atlanta's been on a skid. Lastly, on the Giants postgame show I was watching, George Contos does a great job. Sergio Romo, I think, is new to the party this year. I didn't know he was doing much on there, but I saw him. They were complaining a lot about the extra innings rule. So,
oh my gosh, get over it now.
They're doing the home team broadcast. I get it, but they're like, I mean, the host was trying to say, maybe we do this in the 11th or the 12th. The relievers were like, yo, we should never do this. I'm like, we're not going to go back to that. We're not doing home run derby, strikeout city for 5 innings in every extra inning affair. I think people are forgetting sometimes what extra innings looked like, I'm progressive. Like, I'm really on the baseball rules front. Like, I really like a lot of the new rules, but I know some people hate the extra innings rule. I can see your case for waiting an inning or two, but getting rid of it completely, I think you're forgetting some 15-inning affairs that were not good. They were not entertaining. And also, we can't keep arms on the field now, right? Even a few years ago, we did a better job of that. Now, if you go extras like this, AJ, we are going to lose more and more arms. I just don't think it's worth it. And I think it was just because they lost the game.
I was against the extra inning rule, but now I like it. One, broadcasting, it gets the games over with quicker. And two, it just makes it more exciting. There's more runs scored, and so it helps your overs if you're kind of looking at an over bet on BetMGM. I just think it's better for the game. I think there's less pitching injuries. Now, I miss the 17-inning game where there's a guy that goes 0 for 7 with 5 punch-outs? Of course. But listen, it's better for the game. More people tune in. It's more exciting. And I think they get rid of it in the playoffs, don't they? So
yes,
it's just to help the regular season. So in the playoffs, we go back to the way it used to be. So listen, you're just mad because you lost, and that's it. I mean, if they would have won this game 1-0, they'd be like, those extra inning rules, they're amazing. And they should be mad the Giants couldn't score with the runner on second and nobody out in the bottom of the 10th.
That's it. It's just, to me, it's another skill you have to have. If there's something that only happens once every 5 games, you would practice that skill. For teams to be like, well, we don't really need to work on bunting a guy over, or it's a skill to win that game. They had an opportunity to keep that game close.
Yeah, bloop and a sack fly can win you games. And actually, they did say this on the post-game show. I don't know what the exact number is, but the Giants can't score runners from third base with less than 2 outs. It's been a big problem for them for a good chunk of the year. Anyway, we'll step aside. If you're hanging with us during the break, we'll go over the Junior Caminero call-up for the Rays. And then for everyone watching right now on FT, Luke Weaver from the New York Yankees will be our first guest of the day on FT, joining us for the first time. Okay, FT fam, we have Junior Caminero getting called up to the show. He spent a very brief amount of time last year in MLB towards the end of the year and was on the playoff roster for the Rays. But here he comes. He's supposed to be the next big thing. It's actually kind of weird timing. 1 year to the week of placing Wander Franco on the restricted list. Not weird timing in terms of his progression. He's ready. But anyway, we covered this with Baseball America. We've got the BA Hot Sheet show later. We'll talk about it. But also, we did our prospect profile on the call-up of Junior Caminero, and here's a little look at it.
I know this is a guy where, could he put the ball in the air a little bit more? Could he elevate a little bit more? Sure. But when you consider his age, the raw power ability, plus the bat to ball skills, there's not many prospects just from a pure hitting perspective that I find more exciting than Caminero.
I love the video that we have on there because one of the things that jumps out to me, you want the guys who can pull the ball, and Junior Caminero can pull the ball really far. But he has opposite field power. It is part of his game, too. He likes to hit the ball. He likes to get the arms extended and just drive the ball a long way to right field as well, which makes him a little bit tougher to pitch to because he can do damage on the inner third and also on the outer third of the plate. And sometimes I feel like he kind of likes when pitchers try to stay away from him. He can get those arms extended and he can really do some damage.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him. And we'll talk more about him later on Hot Sheet. You guys can get a quick second in there on Junior if you want. But later, we will talk to Charlie Condon, number 3 overall pick from the Colorado Rockies this year, back at the draft a month ago. So check out that show, 3 o'clock Eastern time, right after FT. We'll flip you over to the BA channel. Anyone have a very quick thought on Junior?
Yeah, I want to talk to Charlie. I want to talk to Charlie Condon. Forget Junior Caminero.
You want to stay on? No joke, AJ. I mean,
but I do want to yell at him a little bit, but that's it because I told you we have mutual friends, and I was getting a bunch of texts from them when I told him.
3:05-ish.
Colin.
No.
I'll be 3 minutes into my nap by then.
Okay. Well,
under the cover net?
No.
Text him and tell him to join FT and not just be a BA Hot Sheet guy.
Deal. Do it.
This is more of a major league show than a minor league show.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. You kicked the minor leaguers to the Baseball America curve.
Nerds.
I mean, let's be serious. Nobody knows most of those guys.
Yeah, get to the show, and then AJ will allow you into his home.
Not a Georgia guy.
All right, FT is back, and so is Luke Weaver. First time here on the show, joining us, coming from the New York Yankees, having a great year. Luke, great to talk to you. How you doing, man?
Thanks, guys. Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad to be here.
Well, I want to start just on you individually having a really strong season, and what's changed for you? If you sum it up, like if you're catching up with friends and they're like, "Dude, you look different this year," I guess parts of last year. How do you describe it to maybe a more casual baseball fan? What's changed with your arsenal and why you're in this spot today?
Man, it's I'd say patience, really. I feel like this game comes with a lot of ups and downs, as we certainly know. I feel like health, I feel like confidence, that combination is accumulated into what's happening now and something that I've put a lot of work in to get to.
If this was like 10 or 15 years ago, people would be like, "Oh yeah, Luke Weaver's on steroids. No way you can get your velocity up this high. No way somebody can jump like that." When you set out on this trek to jump your velocity or change your arsenal to what it is now, did you view it as, obviously you always viewed it as this type of success, because I don't know anybody that works hard at something and is like, I hope I'm just mediocre. But did you see yourself getting to this point in the sense of like how high your velocities jumped, how you've changed your usage so much, or has it kind of slowly come about?
I think you nailed it with the first part. I think it's something that I've obviously had confidence in knowing I was going to do at some point, or at least hope to. But no, the velocity and all of that, respectfully, it's always kind of been in the tank. I think starting over the years, you learn how to control it. You learn how to use it the best ways you can. I know a lot of times I would regulate it, not like the Verlander type of thing where we're throwing 100 in the ninth inning, but just being able to conserve and to use it in the right ways and to step on it when needed. But obviously a big jump comes from just coming into the pen. We have the ability to, in smaller stints, to let it rip a little bit easier, and to control that for a minimum amount of batters. So I think that's a big part of it. Also, I mentioned the health part, like where when you're timed up mechanically and you're feeling good, and you're not kind of in pain with every throw, or the moans and groans that comes with the everyday of like, all right, what do I got today? And then the confidence that's built from that. I mean, man, you're just ready to grip and rip it and be like, all right, show me what you got.
Luke, you're talking about all these mechanical stuff and all this stuff syncing up, but you went from the Cardinals to the Diamondbacks to the Royals to the Reds to the Mariners to the Yankees. So which team helped you figure it out? Was it the Yankees? Once you got to the Yankees, they were like, hey, we noticed this. This is the thing, because you pitch out of the stretch now. You have basically no leg kick anymore. I mean, you're just gripping it and letting it eat. So was it the Yankees that kind of said, hey, let's try something different. Let's try this?
Yeah, great question. I think along the road, you learn a little bit of something here, something there. I think the big things the Yankees helped me with, and is really the four-seamer, getting that back on track, gaining some more vert back to it that I had in the past that I really was losing, that jump on the heater, and guys were kind of beating me to it. They were fouling me off a lot, and I was getting to a lot of deep counts, a lot of the pitch count. Now that thing's really jumped up to a better, I guess, threshold, and it's allowing me to get to swing and miss. It's allowing me to get on guys for some weaker contact, whatever you may have it. But the mechanical stuff really, that came from me. That came from just years of grinding through what I felt like was mechanics that I knew how to pitch in, but it kind of kept giving me to a crossroads of, some flexor strains, some different things that were setting me back and kind of putting me right back to where I started. So this offseason, or this past offseason, I just sat there and was like, how do I gain everything that I know I can do, from a mobility aspect, from a strength aspect, and just time it up that makes sense. And I just built from the ground up, and I found myself just kind of slide stepping and hovering in my throwing programs a lot. And then as soon as I added a leg kick, it was like right back to where I started in a bad way. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to get over this sense of what it looks like, and I'm just going to do what feels right and what looks right with the flight of the ball, the consistencies, and most of all, just the arm health. And that turned into kind of the morph of this no leg kick. And obviously Yamamoto kind of came on the scene, and that's not where the inspiration was, but it kind of helped give me a template of like, okay, now we have a pretty big name guy that has done it for a little bit of time now, and he's very, very efficient with it, and his velo is really good, and his stuff. So that was a nice little template that helped me kind of figure out, okay, what's he doing with it? And then I just kind of made it my own thing, because copying somebody doesn't necessarily work at all. We just move different ways. So at the end of the day, that just became what it morphed into, and it just became like, man, my arm feels great every day, and I can just have confidence in what I'm doing.
It looks like a quick pitch. It looks like if you don't know that Luke Weaver has this new motion, guys are like, oh, hey, what? Looks like a quick pitch. But you talk about like your arm feeling good, no more flexor strain, like that has to be so much confidence for you. But you're also 1 year removed from 21, I think, starts, if I have that right. What's more likely? Another season of 21 starts, or you moving into a closer's role? Obviously, I have no idea not talking about the Yankees. I'm talking about, like, what are you going to make, 21 saves or 21 starts before, which is going to happen first? You're only 30. People forget you're only 30 years old.
Yeah, I have a baby face. I still get carded for, all those many things. And it's a humble check for sure. It was probably 2 weeks ago I got carded on something, but I think that's a great question. I stopped caring about that coming into this year. I think there's a lot of that, like what you want to do and what you should do, and the control of which we don't have the answer to that, right? Like we just show up, and I'm prepared. I was prepared to start, and then it turned into, a great rotation that we had, and just trying to be, all right, what role I'm going to be in, and what can I be great at, and just try to strive for that. So the answer to that question lies out of my control, but there's still aspirations deep down, I think pridefully, to start, because it's such an elite position to be in this game, and it's hard since there's only 5 on a team. But being in the bullpen's opened my eyes to, understanding what that side of it looks like. And there's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of things that come from that make sense for me as well. So closing would be sick. I mean, I think I've had about 5 or 6 opportunities to close with Clay Holmes, getting a rest day. And we score runs when that happens. So I haven't had an opportunity to go out there and to get one. I don't think I even have one, to be honest. But if we're scoring runs, that'll be fine. But at the end of the day, I've learned a lot from watching Clay. I've learned a lot just from the bullpen as itself, and I know what I'm doing is probably a little different than the typical reliever as far as just the innings pitched and things like that. But it's been a lot of fun.
All right, I have to ask. You mentioned the four-seamer and trying to get right. Weren't you a sinker guy when you first came up?
No, I've always been a four-seamer. I've messed around with the sinker from time to time. It's just never really worked. It's just kind of been one of those sinkers where you get the high vert and the high run, so they kind of just morph together. So there's not any really separation. So I would just use 2 different four-seam grips to both sides of the plate and just try to get more kind of cut ride and more run if I was trying to get into a righty. And then I just now have kept to one side of the ball and just tried to really attack that ride off the ball the best I can.
But the Cardinals didn't want you to throw that, though, right? Is that why? I mean, the Cardinals were always a heavy sinker, right? Heavy sinker, more curvy ball than like a high four-seamer cutter, right? So that was one of the things why maybe it didn't work out with St. Louis?
I don't know necessarily if that was the reasoning. I think that's a great question. I don't really know. I felt like I was doing a good job of commanding the four seam to the both sides of the plate, and I had the changeup, and I just never really had a breaking pitch that complemented everything. It became, and it always really has been a tough pitch for me to spin the ball based off of just the way I throw, the way my hand comes through the ball. I know now, like, I'm throwing this cutter, and it's really, really helped bridge that gap for me. But, even then, it's a pitch that isn't slower and creates a lot of swing and miss. So, we're relying a lot on trying to command and to mix the arsenal and to rely with the changeup on swing and miss. So I think at the end of the day, they're going to go the which way they did. And he's a pretty good guy they got in return for the trade. So he's been okay.
You talked about the transition to the bullpen, and like, what's the one thing that you got to the bullpen and you're like settled in and you're like, whoa, I never knew you guys did this, or I never knew, like, I kind of wish I'd stayed in games more. Like, I know Harkey's down there complaining about every position player ever. He's like, oh, great, here comes Soto. He only gets on, 3 out of 10 times. Harkey will find something to complain about. But what was something that once you're in that pen that you're like, whoa, I didn't realize this?
I'm gonna plead the fifth on the Harkey comments.
That's true. It's true.
Was that the bullpen coach?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Mike Harkey is awesome.
Quick snippet on him. He's probably one of, if not my favorite coach I think I've ever had. He's very extremely helpful. He's helped me a ton, and just the mindset, just simplifying, and obviously keeping it light through the course of the game is what I'll say. But to your question, I think the big thing, from starting to relieving is, like, I just wanted to apologize to all the relievers that have been on my team through the course of my career, and just be like, man, like, there's days where I feel like maybe I helped y'all out and you didn't have to throw as much, but there's plenty of days where I didn't. I just wanted to be like, I'm sorry. I didn't realize, truly, I don't think starters, maybe unless they've done relieving, realize how much of a backbone they are in keeping the game intact, and really just through the finish and the day-to-day being prepared to throw, and the grind that comes with that. And there's just a lot of respect that's been gained through thinking even back to the teammates that I've had, and then watching our guys do it, and then going through it now. So obviously didn't mean to have some short starts, but I do respect more than anything what it takes to be in that position, and it's a lot.
Luke, I'm going to bring up some bad memories for you here, okay?
Perfect.
Less than 12 hours ago, no, about 18 hours ago, you were walking into the field there, guaranteed rate. You Yankees are thinking, we're going to sweep the White Sox, and then, BAM! 12-2. What happened? Because the White Sox haven't scored 12 runs in a month. And then all of a sudden, our guy Derek, who works with us here, he's texting me, oh, we got to sweep this series, this and that. And I'm like, be careful. The White Sox are spunky.
To your point, man, in my head, you can't take teams ever, like, lightly ever. Like, you can't. They're big league teams. They're big league players. And this is a series that you have to be fully locked in on, just like anything else. And I'm sure most of us are, but yesterday didn't necessarily back that up. And, baseball is a crazy game. We know it just comes like an avalanche sometimes. You just don't expect it. And they had a great approach. They did a great job of, hitting some pitches when they needed to. And it's unfortunate. I think we're going to be all right, and we're going to play these next 2 games and adjust our teeth, right? We're going to go back to the dentist. We're going to get our teeth fixed, and then hopefully have a good smile when this series is over. But yesterday was a tough one, and I think we got to wash that real quick and remember, who we are as a team and what we've done.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Come on, you guys. I think you guys will be just fine. But I haven't seen a Yankee game.
It was tough.
I haven't seen a Yankee game all year where the opposing starting pitcher walked 7 guys, and you guys scored 2 runs. It was like bases loaded. And Judge hit the one to right that's like in the upper deck in Yankee Stadium, and the right fielder caught it running in. So that was like the one big shot. The crowd went crazy, and the right fielder was like, this is a routine fly ball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a little more room out there in the stadium. But credit to the man on the mound. He limited the damage when he needed to, and obviously not the stat line he would hope for, but at the end of the day, he's got a lot to be proud of in that start to keep his team in the ball game. And I think the momentum from all of that just really struck something in them that just kept it going, and they just took full advantage.
Hey, Luke, I have one more for you. Luke,
I think
there he is.
phone call.
Good.
No, he's good. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Didn't you used to pinch run every once in a while?
We could talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think? Well, because this was pre-rule changes. So could Luke Weaver swipe a bag these days? So do you still have it? Because when did you do that? Was that with Arizona or was that with St. Louis?
Mainly St. Louis. Mainly
Okay.
St. Louis. I remember there was one stint between starts where I went three out of four. So like start, pitch ran, off, pitch ran, and then I think it started the next day, if I could remember
Wow.
correctly. It was just a weird coincidence. So like Yachty would get on base every single time in the ninth inning in a one-run whatever tied ball game, and he did it like it was just a crazy gift that he had along with many others. And I had some fresh legs as a young guy, and so I'd be warming up in the seventh, eighth, getting the high knees in. And I'd get out there and it would just be the coolest, scariest moment. It would be like the reps at all, like never come, right? Because we're never on base that often as pitchers who hit. And it was just such an electric moment. I remember several moments, game tying, sac fly, like just beating out a throw at home, being backpicked by Maldonado at second base because I had too far of a lead, a secondary, I guess, and just put it straight in my ribs. I just remember standing up and staring at him like, all right, yeah, come on, do it again. I dare you. And I just loved it. I loved it. And, it didn't make the hamstrings feel all that great sometimes, but, at 20, whatever years old, young 20s, it was electric. And I had a lot of fun. And those are some fun stories to tell. And, I feel like I'd go out and swipe a bag because every time I got him first, I would legit tell our first base coach, I got this. I see it. I'm going for it. And he's like, nope, stay right here. I said, nope, this guy's a 1-6. I know this guy. I'm going to beat him. He's going to throw a slider here in this count. I'm taking it. And he's like, nope. You got red light. And I'm like, what's going on? I want to score a run. I'm sure I'm going to give up one or two in this game. Like, let me just back up myself and get on second so we can get hit in. So anyway, it's a lot of fun, definitely cool memories, and those days are long surpassed. But if they need me, I'm absolutely ready.
Oh boy. Let's never forget pitchers aren't athletes. Okay, let's always remember that pitchers are not athletes.
Here
Okay?
too.
Yeah, no, that's
What
the worst
do we
thing
have
ever.
to do to prove? What do we have to do to prove it? I'm just
Be
curious.
athletes, not be kickers. Not only play special teams, like play both sides of the ball.
Field a ball like Max Fried
I got
field a
some
ball.
plays in there. I got some plays in there I feel like that are worthy. I got Stroman on the team, right? So he's, he would call himself the alpha of the fielding department. And, we've gone back and forth on a few things. I told him I can make the plays that he can make. And we had a nice little exchange. But
maybe just an outfield a competition. Maybe like an all-star game competition. We get the home run derby. Let the pitchers get out there and do something athletic.
Well, to his point, the last thing we would need is if one guy gets injured, then it'd just be the fall of the empire of all pitchers. It'd just be a joke. So we just got to live with what we got.
Yep. We gotta make sure we have 4 guys to carry him. A backup catcher, hop on my back. I'll carry you out to the mound so you don't get grass in your cleats.
Exactly.
Luke, when you go to the park tonight, I need you to do me a favor, okay? There's an old security guard that sits outside the locker room for you guys when you go in. His name is Fletch. He's been there for like 40 years. Just when you walk in the door. Now, I think the Yankees used to kick him out of the clubhouse. I don't know if they still do, if he's kissed and made up. But they used to not allow him in. So when you walk by him tonight, just do me this favor. And next time you're on, I want to know what he says. Just go, Fletch, no, AJ will not sign another ball for you. You have enough. You are cut off. And I just want to see what he says. Because every time in Chicago, he has like 12 balls for me to sign, 8 hats. He's like, they're for my friends, my cop friends. So just when you walk in, just say, I talked to AJ today. He said he's not signing any more balls for you. And I just got to know his reaction.
Yeah, I got you. I'll definitely play it up. I'll do the whole, Broadway scene where I can, maybe get emotional or whatever I need to do. But I'll try to make sure it's a good result for you.
Okay. Because I'm guaranteed he's asking Judge and Soto and everybody, everyone. Stanton, he's hitting them all up as they come through. He's got it's like a conveyor belt of balls for everyone to sign.
Yeah, when you're around big deal people, man, it's you feel for him sometimes, but it's why you just lay in the wake and you just say, Aaron, you doing okay today? And then you just give him a hug and just make sure everything's okay.
Yeah. So you didn't hit a homer today? It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Only the last 3 games before that.
Go do some
Exactly.
interviews.
Yeah.
Go do some interviews.
Life stuff. Well, Luke, this was awesome, man. Really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for jumping on. Keep doing your thing, and we'll have you back at some point soon, all right?
Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Fun show to watch, and y'all keep doing your thing.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Luke Weaver from the New York Yankees with us on FT. We do have a new Yankee show, too, Pinstripe Territory. You can check that out on the FT network. Episodes dropping daily. We'll be right back as we get ready for Bailey Ober from the Minnesota Twins joining us.
Let him pitch. How do we know he's going to get hurt? Let him pitch. You don't know he's going to get hurt. Just see what happens. I don't understand why they've already done all this. Like, let's keep his workload light in the beginning. Remember his first few starts, he was throwing like 1 inning, 2 innings, 3 innings. Oh, his first big league start, he went like, 4 innings? Because we're like, oh, no, too many innings. How do you know he's going to get hurt? This wasn't a guy that pitched a ton. He was a catcher, right? And now he's been converted. He's worked his tail off to get to a point. The Pirates are in the playoff race. Let the guy pitch. And every 5th day that he pitches in Pittsburgh, maybe give him some days off, bounce him back a little bit here and there. But, man, every time this guy pitches, it's an event. So let the guy pitch.
I'm with you, AJ. I mean, the energy that he's created, the buzz that he's created in that city. I go back to when Ellie De La Cruz came up a year ago with the Cincinnati Reds, and all of a sudden the attendance was through the roof. The fan base started to have a belief in what this organization was building. Well, you're seeing the same exact thing in Pittsburgh with Paul Skeens. One thing we heard prior to him getting drafted is how much of a competitor he was, how he pushed his teammates, how he had a high expectation for what it is to have good work ethic. And you're seeing this you rub off on everybody around him. There's a belief, there's a confidence around that team, especially when he's on the bump. Guys behind him believe that we're going to win when he's out there on the mound. So why would you do anything to disrupt that? I like what AJ said. If anything, you find a day in the schedule where it might be lining up close to an off day. Maybe you allow him to skip a start or two moving down the stretch. But what you've created right now, the buzz, the belief, you went out and made some really nice moves. Those pieces have already came in right away and started to help you out. Brian De La Cruz, I love that move. I love what they've done. Quiet, small moves, but right now I don't think you do anything to disrupt the energy, the positivity that they've created, and the belief that they've created in that city. I think you have to keep it going.
Hey, here we go. We're back with Bailey Ober on FT Live. If you're watching on Bally Sports TV, Bally Sports app, obviously you check out the Twins. If you're in Bally Sports Minnesota, Bailey, great to have you back on, man. I think last time I had you on was spring training. How's everything going since then?
Things are good, man. Appreciate you guys having me back on for sure.
What do we have? Media guides behind you? Is that the little library?
Yeah, I'm in this little library in our communications office.
No, is Dustin around?
Yeah, I think he's in his office in the room next door.
Shirtless, looking in the mirror at his model. So
Yeah, probably.
I mean, is there a better looking PR guy in the league that knows it than Dustin Morris?
Yeah, I don't know. He's definitely up there for sure.
I mean, he's got the hair. No, dude, Dustin Morris has the freaking perfectly combed hair every time, the perfect outfit, like matching, like to a T. Looks like he stepped out of GQ. Plus, he's like 5'8", so it like everything fits him great. You know, there's no like awkward. Like Bailey's tall guy, so he has a hard time finding clothes. Like Dustin Morris, everything fits him. Like he goes into Baby Gap like Scott, perfect fit.
Oh yeah.
So he's not just good looking; he's well put together. I mean, Zillow's old. I don't know how old Dustin is, but Zillow is the Yankees PR guy. He's old and he is jacked. For old Jack guy, he is jacked.
This is exactly what we brought Bailey on for. We
Sorry,
wanted to do
Bailey.
like a tale of the tape.
Man crush style, body games. Because he's 6'9". Everyone's like, oh, you know, he's tall. So let me talk about my friend who's got big biceps.
Sure. Yep.
Exactly. There you go. All right. So let's get to the field for a moment. Let's start with the young pups. So we got some newbies coming to the show. So have you been able to chat with any of them?
Yeah, I talked to Zebby a little bit yesterday. This is my first time really kind of talking to him, getting to know him. He's a fellow North Carolina guy like me, so I was able to chat him up a little bit and just kind of ease him into it and just kind of try to get him relaxed and have his confidence for get ready for the game today.
Do you give him any kind of like rookie initiation? I mean, I get it. He's in the game, so he can't do anything crazy. But have you thought about, because you're kind of getting into that veteran role? Have you thought about anything that you can like initiate a rookie with?
We don't do too much here, so I feel like the most part is like the rookies have to carry around like speakers and like board games and kind of stuff on the road. They're in charge of bringing everything and making sure they don't lose it for the clubhouse, kind of stuff like that.
That's important, but like you could do like creative stuff. Luke Hochshaver, I don't know if you remember Luke Hochshaver. He played a little bit before you. He would bring the rookie in, and he would have a highlight of every single strikeout for the last 2 years of his, and he would just be like, hey, I need you to watch, and he'd be super serious about, I need you to watch these. So the rookie would sit there, and he'd watch the video, and it's just him, just like 150 K-Dogs, just punch out, and at the end of it, like, the kid would be like, why did I do that? But one of the kids came to him and was like, you know, you really go to the slider a lot, 3-2, and he was like, What? So like, you got to be creative with it. Like, get them initiated.
I know we need to come up with some new stuff and something fun, you know, lighthearted, like you said, and just keep them guessing, you know.
Yeah, be like, pick out the tip.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, pick my tell. What am I? I'm tipping.
What am I doing? Yeah, pick it out. I like that. I know a couple guys recently went down. Have you had a chance to connect with Joe Ryan? And I know Paddock's been out for a little bit, and it sounds like actually some positive news that he might be coming back. But I know you guys were going through it a little. And Joe's had a great year, which you've had a pretty good seat to, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, me and Joe are pretty close, so it sucks watching him go down like that. And he's in good spirits, though. He's waiting to hear some other feedback and just to see what his next step is. But it sucks that he's down. We're just going to try to do our best to keep on moving forward and try to support all these new guys, like you said, that are coming up.
Do you sit there when you see one of your buddies go down, and then you look at your other teammates who have spent extended times on, different times on the IL? Do you watch a play and you're like, or are you not in that mode as those certain players like Buxton and Royce Lewis, like guys that are MVP candidates if they're healthy? Do you sit there and go, oh, don't run that one out, like we're fine, like you're going to be out anyway?
Sometimes I would say more so it's the times where like Buxton's running full speed into the wall, trying to make him those unbelievable. Like everyone knows that he can make them. It's just get out of there, be able to get back up and get into the game still. But those guys are unbelievable to watch. But yeah, like you said, it's just little things like that. But they play so hard. That's just their nature to play all out every single play, every single game. And they're tremendous players, like you said. Now we just got to hope and pray that everyone stays healthy. I mean, it's just like that with everyone, like you said. Joe going down last week, he hasn't really had anything to really bother him. So it's just, you never know with injuries in this game.
Bailey. Chris Paddock is coming back here shortly for you guys, which you're going to welcome him back. Do you have a skit like he has when he comes in on the cowboy boots and the sheriff and the hat and all that? Do you have a skit on days you pitch like that?
No, not at all. Sheriff is one of a kind. So he comes in full suit, cowboy hat, cowboy boots. He's ready to roll. Big old belt buckle. But I don't have anything. If anything, I'll try to keep my shoe game the same. If I'm having some pretty good starts in a row, I'll wear the same shoes for my outings, but just kind of mix up the rest of the outfit.
Like your shoes to the park or your shoes on the mound?
Yeah, shoes to the park.
And are you a Nike, Adidas? What are you, a Jordan? What are you, a kind of shoe game guy?
Yeah, I usually stick with Jordans or some Nikes. Just kind of mixing them up. I like the ones and the 11s, so just kind of mix them up and see whatever's rolling, and I'll keep it going.
Okay, makes sense. Superstitious. I get it. Everyone's superstitious in baseball. All right, what's another one of your guys? You pitched good last night. What's going on with Pablo this year? Pablo Lopez. He struggled a little bit. Hasn't been as effective as he was last year. His ERA is a little bit inflated. He made the one mistake last night to Bobby Witt. Other than that, it was a pretty good start. But what's been going on with Pablo?
I don't know. I think, like you said, like just it's one pitch that's kind of beating him this whole year. And a lot of times, like, you might get away with it. But for whatever reason this season, he's just getting very unlucky. I know if you want to get super nerdy into it, his expected stats are very good. So it's kind of just a bit of unluck or just stuff that's been going not his way. And I feel like last year, a lot of the stuff he was just dominating. And if we had a 50-50 call, he might get it. And this season, it's just one pitch that might get him. But for the majority of the stuff that he has right now, everything looks pretty similar to what he had last year. His sweeper's still unbelievable. His curveball's great. His fastball still has life. His changeup looks honestly better this year than it did last year. So I guess it's just one of those things.
Do pitchers talk to each other about slumps that they're going through, and like you having a good year, him having kind of a down year statistically? Do you go, oh man, like, are you feeling okay? Or is that something that pitchers don't ever ask each other? Or do pitchers complain all the time about, well, I never feel good because we're pitchers, and it's always spoken, or is it never spoken?
Yeah, so especially with us, with the Twins, I feel like we have a pretty close group. Like, we go and watch each other's bullpens every single week. So we kind of can tell when something's a little bit off. So we have those conversations in the dugout after the games to be like, hey, how you feeling? I noticed this today on the mound. I just want to make sure everything's good. So we have those conversations a lot, and most of the answers are, yeah, I'm feeling fine, just mechanics might be a little off today. Kind of stuff like that. So yeah, we kind of, I feel like we're pretty in tune with everyone, how they're feeling and how they're supposed to be moving and pitch shapes are supposed to be. Just we're able to kind of coach each other and help each other out throughout the entire season. We know it's a long grind, so whenever we see something that's a little bit off, we're able to have those tiny conversations that we don't have to necessarily go to the coaching staff or find our video guy and break down stuff. We can have those tiny conversations to ourselves in the dugout.
How many times has somebody come up to you and be like, hey, you ever try throwing harder? Because you don't throw hard enough for the big leagues.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Are you
Probably
sick of it?
like in high school, college, minor leagues, everywhere. That's basically what I've heard my whole entire life. I didn't get recruited super high because I didn't throw hard enough. It's probably the same thing when I was in college and through the minor leagues that I wasn't a prospect.
And what do you say to those people? What do you say to those people? Like,
Get outs. That's about it. Yeah, just name of the game is getting outs. So I know how to pitch, and I'm fairly confident with what I have, and it's a blessing to be able to be 6'9". So that definitely helps.
can you teach that? Because everybody and their mother teaches velocity and throwing the ball through a 9-foot wall. They can't hit a 17-inch strike zone, but they teach throwing the ball hard. Can you teach what you know about pitching? Or could somebody teach that?
Yeah, I think you definitely can, because people have to learn it somehow, right? It's a lot of it is through reps. The bottom line is, like I said, it's just getting out. So whatever you have to do to figure out how to get outs, whether that's learning how to pitch or learning how to just get unbelievable stuff and velo. And if that doesn't work, then you're going to have to learn how to pitch. You're going to have to learn how to go in and out, up and down, mix speeds, sequence. So it's just learning from experience, looking back, being able to self-reflect, and honestly just going out there and trying to impose your will and get the guy out.
Bailey, I have 5 rapid fire questions. They're some of them are yes and no. Some of them are a little bit longer, okay? So we're going to go, first of all, best individual stat line in a game or your best pro or amateur career game. Tell me about it.
Oh, there's a few to pick from. I'll say one from this year, my first big leagues complete game. That was pretty special to me. 89 pitches. I gave up 2 runs, but still able to do it under 90 pitches. That was pretty cool. And then I threw I think I threw a CG against the University of Arizona in college with like 13 or 14 punchies.
Nice. All right. Okay. Who's the best athlete in your family besides yourself?
Oh, probably my brother or my wife.
Okay,
My brother played college baseball and my wife played college soccer. So.
Okay. Yeah. Always go with the wife over the brother. The brother will forgive you. The wife won't. Okay. Good advice to remember by. All right. Your most valuable sports collectible.
Oh, that's a tough one. I got a Byron Buxton signed jersey my rookie year. That was pretty special. And I got Tony Oliva, some signed baseballs from him. And I got a Mike Trout and Shohei jersey signed. So those are pretty sweet too. Okay.
All right. Makes sense. Now, two quick. They're yes or no answers, okay? Are pitchers athletes? No.
Yeah.
I'll answer for you.
Yes.
I'll answer for you.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Can you do the basketball?
I used to be able to, but I'm 47 now, so no, I can't anymore.
I can, and I'm 44.
You can dunk. Wow.
I also caught 2,000-something games that they're
That's
not very good on the jumping muscles.
Yeah, those
Okay.
things.
And then last of all, not least, is Mike Herman the worst traveling secretary in baseball?
No, he's the best.
Oh, that's such a – now, see, now you've lied twice in a row. Twice in a row now you've lied about things. So pitchers are not athletes, and Mike Herman is not the best at all. So the worst. He is the worst by far. Okay. That's it, Bailey. No, that was great. Great answers. And obviously I had Herman when he was the Dustin Morris of the Twins, right? He used to be the PR guy. Yeah. And the problem was he was always late because he was out with the players too long, and he would always show up after the players when the media was done. So make sure you remind him of that when you see him today.
All right, I will. I'll bring it up.
AJ just driving a bus today, just driving over people.
Exactly.
We have all these people that I know. You know, it's fun to have organizations that I know and people that I know.
Hey,
sure. Yeah, I'll let them know.
Yeah, definitely let them know. Yeah, and, no big deal. It's just on national television. Everyone in Minneapolis watches this on Valley Sports North. It's on every restaurant. I get texts from people living in Minneapolis that are like, "Yo, I heard all about AJ's old PR guy today. I was sitting in a pizza shop having lunch after work."
Mike Herman's getting fired, and so is Fletch. Fletch, the security guard for Chicago.
Mike Herman will never get fired.
They got tenure in baseball, I think, for those kind of jobs. I hope. Otherwise, we'll do this disclaimer as you go out, Bailey. If AJ harmed anyone's reputation with their job today, please call us and we will help place you in a different spot. We will put you in witness protection in a different division.
Sounds good. Appreciate
Bailey,
it.
hold on, Bailey. Before you go, you obviously know Dan Gladden, right? Do you hunt? You hunt?
Yeah, I do.
Has he taken you hunting yet?
No, he hasn't.
Oh.
I need to bring that up.
Dan Gladden?
Dan Gladden?
He's the radio guy. He's a Twins Hall of Fame guy. You guys should do some research.
Okay.
But yeah, if you ever get a chance and he says, "Hey, I'll take you out to the farm," highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
That sounds good to me.
Just invite yourself.
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
Just
be like,
just go up to him and say, "Hey, Skull it." Call him Skull it. Say, "Skull it. AJ said I deserve to go to the farm," and see what he says.
All right, I will. Next time I see him.
And then you're bigger than him, so if he says no, you can just beat on his from the top like this.
There you go. Yeah.
That'll be good. Yeah,
Below
that would be. Bailey, this was awesome. Thank you very much. Great catching up with you again. Keep crushing it this season, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys having me on again.
Thank you. Bailey Ober from the Minnesota Twins joining us. That was fun. We'll be right back, and especially for those of you watching in Valley Sports North, having a good time today. All right, fast start. Good first hour, FT fam. Look at us, exactly on 2 o'clock Eastern time. So we're going to throw this question out there for everyone based on the clown that showed up to the Rays game yesterday. And for any children that cried when they saw this man who is clearly a fantasy football loser, then I apologize. Did he also have to go up to people and talk to them, or are that his friends?
Maybe he knows that woman, but Michael Young is deathly afraid of clowns.
Really?
The Michael Young, deathly afraid of him. Anyway, different story. But he would have been angry. He gets angry when he sees clowns. I saw it. I saw it firsthand. It's unbelievable.
What do you think the conversation is right there, AJ? Do you think she's like, really? You drafted? I can't even come up with names right now. You drafted so and so in the 3rd round? Freaking loser! You deserve to be wearing that thing.
First of all, that whoever these people were, they got to get new content, because we did about a month ago. We did a game where it was there was a guy in the front row at a Cubs game, Diamondbacks Cubs, and we showed him for about an inning and a half, and he had the same outfit. He was a clown. He said, "I suck at fantasy football." Now the difference is at Tropicana, where this guy was at the Rays, there was no atmosphere. This dude was sitting in the bleachers, and everybody was buying him beers at Wrigley, so he was loving it. Every time we showed him, he was chugging another beer. So obviously, he got the better of the draws.
The little bit that I know about fantasy football, I was a one-time champion of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you are employed and you need to focus on your job, you suck at fantasy football. The guys who lose these things are very good and don't feel bad for them. They lost, they got embarrassed, but they have other jobs or they have young kids. Because it takes a lot of time.
Have you ever heard of the legend, the best fantasy football player in the game? He's a front office member.
Yeah, Farhan Zaidi.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. I text him every year for information.
Yeah.
Who should I draft?
He's crazy. If things don't work out for him in San Francisco, he's going to be running the Jets or something like that. Anyway, we will be right back. But if you're in the YouTube chat, fantasy football punishment ideas. The clown is getting run already. So throw something out there and maybe we'll talk about it during Slap. All right. Ken Rosenthal coming up soon too. And we'll talk about the Yanks falling to the White Sox. And, the front office changes with the Marlins coming soon.
Shocker.
No, that's every afternoon in Orlando, and AJ and I are there, but we never see it because it happens when the show's happening. So I'm always like, the weather's great. They're like, it monsooned. I'm like, yeah, at 1 o'clock. Who cares? We're on an FT. So anyway, the segment's called Doom and Gloom. So AJ, you're going to lead this one off first. We're just taking glass half full approaches. Since we're so positive all the time on this show, we just want to bring a little bit of a touch of reality. So the White Sox pounded the Yankees yesterday. The bad news side of things that we usually cover on Injury Suck is that Jazz Chisholm also left the game. He's going to get testing today. Hopefully he's okay. What was it, the elbow? On the slide there?
Epic,
great slide. That was
epic
awesome.
Run, base running, awesome. Great play by Nicky Lopez to even have a shot at him right there. It was a good play, but it looked like they said his left elbow when he reached in.
Don't slide into home head first.
Ever. Stop. Just stop doing it.
AJ, did you make this diagram?
No, but Jay Kuda is one of the best.
We need him.
Have you lost by double? I've asked him. He's shy. Have you lost by double digits to the White Sox this year? And there's a huge circle around every team saying, of course not. And then there's the Yankees.
I love the writing on there. I love his frowny face. Anyway, come on, Jay, please, one time.
Do you know what the best piece of content was last night? I mean, besides AJ texting with Derek, our Pinstripe Territory host, the fact that Pinstripe Territory was announced yesterday on our show, and then the debut episode, I kept saying in the chat, was one that you'll never forget. You'll never forget the first Pinstripe Territory show, the rebrand of PT, because of what happened. And here's the play, by the way, for Jazz coming home. So, AJ, do you not slide head first there?
No, you don't. You slide feet first because his left arm, which he hurt, watch it go right into the shin guard. Right? Now he's got a bad elbow. There's too many things the catcher can do, especially since you can't run a guy over. Now the catcher can just squat on the top of the plate and you slide into a shin guard. It's bad. It's always been a rule, don't slide head first into home plate. But now with the rules where you can't blast a guy, man, you definitely don't need to be going head first. But everybody does it. And every time a guy gets hurt, we say don't slide head first into home plate. And people still keep doing it. I don't know why.
I'm not sure he should have done it because Corey Lee is built like a bowling ball and Jazz is a little bit more slight. But he's allowed to blast him right there. He's allowed to run him over. To me, and tell me if I'm wrong, I've screwed up some base running stuff. Why don't they teach run right through home plate? And if there's somebody in your way, annihilate them. Because you're allowed to hit them.
Because nobody's taught that. Everyone's taught to slide away from the base and just try to tap it.
Yeah, but
I agree with you. I wish it was good. Listen, we've had this conversation. I'm not going back to this. And by the way, all the people say he's shaking his heart. There it is. He hurt his arm after that play at the plate. But by the way, all the Yankee fans in the chat that are coming after me because we're celebrating the White Sox winning a game.
Oh,
I mean, we're not really celebrating. We're more laughing at the Yankees because they lost to the White Sox by 10 runs.
We're not laughing with you. We're laughing at
We're
you.
actually laughing at all the White Sox fans that are saying, like, it's one game. We know it's one game. But come on, did anybody on their bingo card last night, Kai Bush versus Heel, have the White Sox winning that game 12-2? I mean, let's be serious here for a second. No.
Nothing's wrong with the Yankees. They are
No.
still, to me, a World Series.
Contender.
They're leading the league. Well, they're tied with the Orioles. All of baseball with the most wins. You just don't see the fact that they have 70 wins and the White Sox had 70 losses by the middle of June. Like, it's something that needs to be taught. Nobody's trolling on the Yankees. They're fine. Ron Judge will probably go 3 for 4 tonight.
They were like minus 320 or something.
Yes, it's the highest.
It was the largest. Yeah. It was like the largest double-digit loss by a team favored by 300 or more in like forever. I forget what the number was, but it was like 15 years or something of like a team being minus 350 or higher and losing by 10 runs. It hadn't happened in like forever.
Picking the White Sox at minus 1.5 would have completely redone my locks, my BetMGM locks. It would have been epic.
Yeah, you're right. If you ever see a minus 3 something on a money line in a game in baseball, go with the underdog. Generally, go with the underdog. That is way too steep. Way too steep. It happens frequently. I had one with the Dodgers. Remember the Glasnow game against the Reds when they were hurting? Watched that whole game, and Ellie just reminded me about what he can do by himself. I mean, he won that game by himself. He just got on first every time, stole 2 bags, and it'd be like wild pitch or whatever. He might have even stolen home. Anyway, real quick.
By the way, no,
Marte.
the worst one I've ever saw before we get to Ketel Marte. We were playing, when I was at Atlanta, we were playing Kershaw in Atlanta. This is when Kershaw was unbelievable, and it was like minus 7 something, I think. And we got smoked. So don't always bet on that.
7 something.
Yeah, it was like
game?
7 something. For one game. It was in Atlanta. It was like Kershaw versus, I don't even know who the pitcher was for us. But it was like minus like 700. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I need to have somebody look that up because that would be wild.
Was that when Kershaw was like
of course
1-8?
Yeah.
You're getting no runs every single time. By the way, for Ketel, I mean, he leaves yesterday's game. He had the little ankle issue from the weekend, re-aggravation of the previous left ankle soreness. So, I mean, for me, I hope he's good for many reasons. Super fun to watch, MVP candidate, the whole deal.
It looked like he just like over-rotated on it and then collapsed. Because didn't it start out as a ankle bruise?
Yes.
So it's not like it was he twisted his ankle going into the bag or something, and then he has a a sprained ankle and then he twists on it, to me it probably just hurts more than it did before.
Might need a day or two off.
He wants to be in there today.
I know. It's
Facing
tough when you're hitting like that, and then you've got the Rockies.
Gomber, the way he's hitting right-handed too, Gomber's in there. I think he's got like 2 or 3 career dingers off him. He wants to be in there. So if he's not in there, he's hanging. And I would say I just remember playing with guys who are MVP candidates, and never was one of them like, you know what, I'll just take a day off. Like, if a MVP candidate is not in the lineup, they're grinding.
Yep.
They're feeling it.
All right, let's step aside. Ken Rosenthal coming soon to FT. Get ready for Inside Scoop. We still got to go over the Marlins front office, getting a little plumbing done, doing some cleaning there. And an extension was given out yesterday by the Seattle Mariners. Interesting storyline. We'll get to it. This is good. Wesley Allen in the chat said, fantasy punishment, make the loser play an instrument that they can't play outside of the stadium and give the tips to charity.
Like that.
So you just give the dude, a trumpet or a guitar or something, and he just has to be terrible for hours, and you have to just wear I suck at fantasy sports or whatever, I suck at fantasy football.
Don't even make him wear that. Luke Combs made his buddies in his fantasy league, the losers, had to sing a song on stage at one of his concerts.
That's kind of cool, though. And you can get away with a bad voice. I feel like that's
they weren't actually awful either. They weren't actually awful either. They weren't.
But a lot of people would be super afraid of doing that. Not everybody's comfortable in front of 60,000 people.
I liked AJ, the instrument idea for Combs. One of the buddies.
Yeah, someone would have had to play the guitar, and they had to do like a guitar solo in front of the people. Now that and the spotlight just went on them, and they were like, now see, that would be awkward because everybody. And he also, what he should have done is he should have not said it before they sang. He should have just said nothing, and then let them go. And then afterwards, after they were done, be like, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, that was this."
Our next artist that's going to be singing the next song will be A.J. Pierzynski. And then just bring him out and people will be like, this is one of my favorite Luke Combs songs. He's ruining it. That would have been funny. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I like that. That was a great idea. So keep them coming. It's a good theme today. And yeah, Ken's in about 10 minutes. We'll go over In the Weeds coming up next.
By the way, it still cracks me up. All the people like, oh, payback's going to be something for your White Sox. His next dude, who cares? They're 29 and 91. I don't care. They're having a historically bad year.
It's like a little brother. It's like a little brother beating the older brother. And then the older brother being like, I'm going to beat you. You've beaten me 100 times in a row. It's okay. I'm going to lose. Just let me savor. Let the White Sox enjoy this. Look at AJ's smile. He rarely smiles.
Look how happy Grady Sizemore was after.
Manager of the year. And he's so good looking. They're not even just he's a better manager than Pedro. He's much better looking.
Congrats, Grady.
Yep. Grady's ladies.
He's bringing something different.
Yep.
In the weeds we go. So first on the Marlins front office, they cleared out some pretty high-level executives, but also the least shocking news of the year. When a new person comes in to take over, this is kind of the process. I'm actually surprised, AJ. So this is Peter Bendix, who's running the Marlins front office, letting go of guys like Azo Campo, who's pretty respected in the game, did some really good work with the Astros. Here's Alden Gonzalez, who had said, lauded for his work internationally with Houston. I think he was part of some of those signings like the Christian Javier's, Jose Urquidy's, where they signed him for literally nothing, and then they became really good major leaguers. But he said let go as assistant GM, part of sweeping changes throughout the Marlins front office and scouting department made by first-year general manager Peter Bendix. So there was the international scouting director, the assistant GM. So it's the people that were there. Obviously, he's bringing in his own people. That's what happens on every front. He's even going to do that with the manager next year. It's going to be a completely different brand of a Marlins front office now. It's just the same. There's two teams in Florida, but they're attempting to be run the same way.
Say it, AJ.
What's up? Oh, 5-year plan, baby.
Oh, yeah.
5-year plan. Hold on. By the way, speaking of
yeah.
Marlins manager, can you guys look on BetMGM and find out what the odds are for Skip Schumacher to be the next White Sox manager? Please.
Why, you think that's a thing? I think it's a high probability?
Because the Cardinals are doing good.
He's doing that smile as if he almost like knows something that we know. We don't know.
He's either smiling at his baby blue eyes, which he gets caught staring at in the camera, or he knows something.
Did Skip play for the Royals?
Coach there, didn't he? Did something there. No, but
I know.
who's one of the big decision makers for the White Sox?
There's a few. Jerry Reinsdorf, Chris Getz.
Nope. Who's Jerry Reinsdorf's best friend?
Tony La Russa. Ooh.
Yeah,
Good
well
one.
done.
Good one.
Well, Skip's not working in Chicago now. AJ just ruined that chance.
Why?
I don't know. Just because AJ.
I'm just saying.
He's not in the good graces. He's not in the good graces.
I might not be in the good graces, but I can have opinions.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jake Berger is on fire too, speaking of the Marlins.
Last I checked, he had the most home runs in the second half of the season. Anyway, let's talk to Ken about all kinds of things. Next, Inside Scoop. We'll be right back on FT with Kenny Ballgame. So I'm just wondering how we can fix the brand of baseball in South Florida, because as we both know, there are tons of baseball fans down there, and often there's more of them at a Miami Hurricanes baseball game.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any fixing it permanently, Scott. As you said, you went to UM, you lived it here, and during those years, or even, prior to that, and even after to that, you saw stars in Miami that people did not go up to see. I mean, they did not go to see Stanton and Ozuna and Yelich and those players. And yes, once every 5 days, they did show up for Jose Fernandez. But beyond that, they just never have generated massive amounts of people in that stadium. The same goes for Tampa Bay. By the way, the same goes for Arizona. And I think that what these teams have in common is, I know it sounds crazy, but outside of Colorado, those 4 teams that expanded back in the early 90s, those teams all had original fan bases that were rooting for other teams. And I think that has hurt all of those fan bases for some reason, not the Rockies. I don't know why. The Rockies maybe not even run the right way at all, but for some reason they get 30,000 every single night. But it has never helped Miami. It has never helped Tampa Bay, and the Diamondbacks are never going to be anywhere in the top 5 or top 10 in attendance as well. These transient cities where a lot of people are from other places. You're right, Scott. They love baseball here in South Florida. My son's in travel baseball. They all love the Marlins too. But the reality is that when you ask people about going to the games, that no one has been able to figure out what the secret sauce is. And having a guy hitting 60 home runs in the MVP, people did not show up, Scott, for that season that Stan hit the home runs too. So I don't know what the answer is.
Let's do a little inside scoop segment with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Good to see you, Ken, and make sure everyone checks out Fair Territory, which was back yesterday with Ken. Great job from the fill-ins last week. But Ken, I want to start with some pretty legit news that we actually didn't get to yet. We saved it for you right at the top. The ultimate change of scenery story. Victor Robles goes from the Nationals to the Mariners, and now he's a little bit rich with this extension for almost $10 million. What do you think?
Well, Scott, as I wrote today, I cannot remember a player getting DFA'd and released and then going to a new team and signing an extension less than 3 months later. It's kind of a remarkable story. And obviously it speaks well to Robles and it speaks well for the Mariners, not so well for the Nationals. And there clearly was some kind of disconnect there. I'm told that Robles fell out of favor with Davey Martinez, the manager. And it's just so odd to me that he can move from one team to the other and look so energized, so happy, play so well when he really hadn't done that in a while for the Nationals. This was once a top 5 prospect in the game in 2018, significant contributor to the 2019 Nationals World Series Championship club, and yet it just didn't work out there, and it worked out nicely for him in Seattle. They feel that with his speed and defense that he's got a very high floor, and if he hits, even better.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. I mean, I've been following it. He kind of saved them for a little time period before they made those moves, too, for Randy Arozarena and Justin Turner. And I remember in the Arizona Fall League years back when I used to call some of those games, one of the, I think, opens we did to the game was like, Robles or Acuna? Who's going to have the better career? And then for years, you're like, what is this? So my next question for you on the Seattle side is, yes, they like him. Why now? Is it because he's a free agent and now they can kind of solidify an outfield of the future for the next few years?
That's exactly it. And the way it was described to me by Justin Hollander, their GM, they saw the free agent class and looked at it and said, you know what? We do this guy right now. It's probably a better deal at a better value than we can get for any other outfielder that might be out there. Now, that remains to be seen. And it remains to be seen whether the Mariners acted too rashly after seeing, 46 games or whatever it's been for Victor Robles. But at the same time, it's a move that is kind of preemptive in the sense that now they don't have to go out and get an outfielder in the market. They can come back next year with Rodriguez, Robles, and Arozarena as well. And that's a pretty formidable group.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. Mariners offense definitely looking better since the trade deadline. We'll see if that continues here. Okay, I'll take you to a news story that hits from the weekend and then carries into yesterday. Aaron Duran with a homophobic slur that he yelled to a fan. It was caught on video, of course, from Sunday. And then he's apologized multiple times since. He's suspended 2 games. What were your thoughts and any insight on the incident?
My thoughts were that the punishment was appropriate, that we have seen this kind of thing before in baseball, and that's approximately what the punishment has been in the past for Kevin Pillar, for some others as well. And what encouraged me about the aftermath of this was not so much Duran's apology, though it was good, but the Red Sox forcefulness in saying, we can't have this. We want to be inclusive. We want our park to be welcoming to all fans of all kinds, and this is not something that we're going to tolerate. And you look at this and you say, okay, well, these things happen, right? Heat of the moment. Some fans are going to look at it that way. Why are we reacting like this? Well, here's why we're reacting like this, or why the Red Sox reacted and should react like the way they have. There are certain terms that to certain members of certain groups are highly offensive and hurtful. And those terms, when they're uttered, it is not for me to judge or AJ to judge or Scott to judge or Erik to judge on whether they are offensive or not. They are offensive to the people that are getting affected by them. And that's who counts here. So I thought that the Red Sox reaction was good. Duran's reaction was good. And as Alex Cora said, and this was encouraging too, in my opinion, it's not a case of moving forward. We've got to do better. And the Red Sox know now that they've got some work to do, and it seems to me that they're going to do it.
Yeah, and the other part to keep in mind, I know it's secondary, but the game portion of this is one of their best players. He's going to miss 2 games. He plays pretty much every day. The Red Sox are in a fight for a wild card spot. It hurts. It impacts the ball club for 2 games here.
It does hurt. And it's inexcusable, and it cannot happen. And my friend Sean McAdam from MassLiveSports.com wrote today that, listen, this kind of thing, it's clear what the Red Sox had to do. There could be no equivocating. There could be no, well, we're in a pennant race, maybe we'll just find. No, this had to happen the way it did. And from that perspective, again, just days after the passing of Billy Beane, who was the head of MLB's diversity and inclusion group, it was encouraging to see the way everyone reacted.
Yeah, well said. And Billy Beane is very missed. I know we didn't get to that the other day, but someone that I knew very well at MLB, just a great human being. And I encourage everyone to look up his story. Okay, we'll get back to baseball here. Let's get to another fringe playoff team that's basically fallen out at this point. Wanted to get your thoughts on the Texas Rangers. And if you think, looking back, armchair quarterback, they did the right thing at the trade deadline, and if maybe they'll even let a few players loose that are going to be free agents in the next few weeks.
First things first, Scott, I did think they did the right thing at the deadline. They're the defending World Series champions. They still had a chance, and they had all this pitching coming back. There was reason to believe, if you're the Rangers, that the offense could not be this bad for this long. Well, it turns out that it has continued to be bad, and they just have not gotten it together. They're 3-9 since the deadline, and you raised the question of waiver dumps, kind of like what the Angels did last year. They are in position to do that. They've got some salaries they can trim, and that with other players, with players that other teams would like. I'm thinking of David Robertson and Kirby Yates and maybe Leclerc and certainly Nathan Eovaldi. But if you're the Rangers, do you want to do that? And that really is the big question here. It's a bad look. It was a bad look for Los Angeles Angels last year. It would be a worse look, in my opinion, for the Texas Rangers this year, considering what they were. Would it save them some money? Sure, it would save them some money. It would also send a message to the industry, to players who might eventually join them as free agents, that, hey, we might just cut you loose at some point if we want to save a little bit. So from that perspective, I don't like it. I don't actually like the whole idea of teams that are not playing particularly well, but looking good in the waiver process, because it goes by reverse order of record, getting players that they don't necessarily deserve because other teams are, just trying to save money. So it's kind of a weird deal. I don't know that the Rangers are going to take this course, but they have been very mindful all season, going back to the offseason. Their ownership has been very mindful of saving money, of imposing financial restrictions that maybe they didn't anticipate coming off a World Series title. They've cited, of course, the uncertain future television revenues from their RSN. I get it. But at the same time, you make a lot of money too. I've made this point before. Coming off a World Series title, hosting the All-Star game, the Rangers are doing okay.
Should somebody step in? Obviously, this is going to be something that will be in the CBA because Major League Baseball won't impose something on themselves without any kind of injunction from the players. Is this something that needs to be addressed before the next CBA?
Perhaps, yes. And Eric, Buster Olney from ESPN wrote at the end of last season, or maybe in the off season, that MLB looked at this, considered it, but decided not to do anything just yet. And that was appropriate. It had happened once, and it was a weird circumstance. Remember, the Angels loaded up, and then they wanted to get under the luxury tax threshold when they were no longer competing. So they went about this route. I don't know that other teams are going to do it the way the Angels did it, en masse, so to speak. So if it happens again, if you see it happening a lot this August, then maybe MLB will decide outside of the CBA, just on its own, that we can't have this and we don't want this going on any further. And then they would impose some kind of rule change.
Have you ever heard of a case like like what Eflin said about Kyle Snyder? Did I say it right? Yeah, Kyle Snyder. I was thinking I said the wrong Snyder.
Zach Eflin.
Yeah, Zach Eflin and Kyle Snyder calling the Orioles. Have you ever heard of not only just in the division, but another team? And I can vouch for Kyle Snyder. This dude really, really cares about his pitchers, more so than most pitching coaches I've ever worked with. So I'm not surprised, but have you ever heard this?
I have not heard it, but my assumption now is that it goes on. And what you're referring to, Eric, is something I wrote about today. When Zach Eflin was traded from the Rays to the Orioles, and actually when Phil Maton was traded from the Rays to the Mets, in both cases, the Rays kind of assisted in the transition. With Eflin, they had a communication between Kyle Snyder and the Mets people. Basically, Kyle Snyder related what Eflin's throwing schedule was, his grips, his sequencing, everything, you name it. Now, Kyle Snyder told me that he consulted with the Rays before doing that. This was an in-division trade. And the Rays' feeling is that Eflin signed with them as a free agent, as did Maton, and they feel somewhat of an obligation that you just don't cut loose these guys and forget them forever once a trade is made. Obviously, yes, it's kind of a fine line, right? You don't want to give the opposition too much, but the Rays felt, and appropriately, I think, that this was the right thing to do. It was right by the player, and it really caused no harm. Now, Eflin did pitch brilliantly against the Rays last weekend, but when I asked somebody with the Rays about that, not Kyle Snyder, he said, that's Zach Eflin. That's his responsibility. He did it. So I thought it was cool, and I had the same thought, Erik. I wonder how many other teams do this because I had never heard it before, and it was something that was sensitive. When Eflin told me this, the next day he said, hey, you know what? I'm not so sure you could say that on TV or write about that because it might be kind of dicey. I said, no, don't worry. I already checked with Kyle and we talked about it and he explained to me what this was and that he had cleared it with the Rays people. So all good. And again, it's something that I thought spoke well of the Rays and probably is something that most teams would consider doing if they don't do it already.
Ken, I know you're not going to tell us who you're going to vote for this year, but NL Rookie of the Year is getting interesting now. Everyone thought it was Paul Skeens' runaway or Shota Imanaga at the beginning of the year. But there's a guy out in San Diego that's kind of creeped his way into that talk. So if you had a vote, which I don't even know if you do because you won't tell us, would you vote for Skeens, Imanaga, or Jackson Merrill?
First of all, I don't know if I have a vote yet in that category. We have not gotten our assignments. So that's number one. Number two, I would say that we'd have to wait until the end of the season. It's only fair. That's when you judge the entirety of a campaign. But given all of that, AJ, my preference in this case, much as it is for an MVP, is for the position player. And particularly when you see what Merrill has done lately, last night's game-saving catch, all the game-tying and go-ahead home runs, just the clutch play that he has given the Padres, who have surged remarkably in recent weeks. He, to me, is a remarkable story. And if you look at where he was going into spring training, he had played only a little bit above A ball. He had never played center field, and yet he made the opening day roster as a center fielder, has had some ups and downs offensively, but my goodness, he's probably a guy who's going to get some MVP votes now. Now, this is to take nothing away from Skeens, who's been brilliant, but I suspect he's going to be shut down at some point before the season ends. And remember, he didn't arrive with the Pirates until early May. Imanaga has been with the Cubs all season and has been terrific. And there are a lot of other National League rookies as well doing outstanding things. Jackson Churio, Mason Wynn, you can go right down the line. But if you're asking me, if I had to vote today, I would vote for Jackson Merrill.
If you had to vote today, since we're in the voting mood, Ketel Marte, Ohtani, or Bryce Harper?
This one's tough. And Marte is a guy that has been that team's engine for quite some time now. And I haven't looked at the numbers as closely as I looked at NL Rookie of the Year because I wrote about that the other day. But Ohtani is going to get a lot of play, obviously. He's Ohtani, but he's a DH. And when you're looking at the MVP, that's going to come into consideration. The first criteria is strength of offense and defense. Well, he doesn't play defense, at least this season, when he's not pitching. So that could create an opening for a Marte or a Harper. It would probably depend upon what happens down the stretch. I love Marte as an up-the-middle defender for a team that is playing really well and a guy who contributes offensively and means so much to that group. And, of course, Bryce Harper is Bryce Harper. So, again, this remains to be seen how it's all going to play out, but it could be an interesting race.
Yeah, I mean, we can debate it when Ken's off, but I think there's some other names. I'm not even they're going to make fun of me for Ellie.
I wouldn't put Harper anywhere in there. I wouldn't put Harper in there.
He's not my top five. Right now.
He's dropped off.
He missed some time. He missed some time.
Yeah, no, but he's out for me. I mean, it's really, for me, it's two. It's Shohei or Ketel Marte right now. There's not really, I mean, you can look at, other divisions, but for me, those are the two.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that right now.
Okay. And then lastly, Ken, I wanted to finish, since you were out last week, I wanted to finish with your thoughts on the updated NL wildcard race specifically, and just how crazy baseball is when people ask us, why you don't take much time off in the summer. Because it's like you disappear for a week, you come back and you're like, wait, the Braves are on the outside looking in, the Giants are back, the Cubs are kind of back. So when you've now come back, I know you're paying attention, but to the work world, writing again for The Athletic and on with us, what have been your thoughts on the NL wild card lately?
Well, it's so true, Scott. It's an everyday sport, and when you take any time off or you're away for a little bit, you fall behind. There's no question about it. Even as much as I'm in the mix and still reading, I'm not on the phone and I'm not doing my normal thing. So yeah, things changed a lot in a week. And the Braves thing is fascinating. And I'm not sure where they're going with this. You can make the case that Max Fried is back now. I know he hasn't pitched really well just yet. They've got Sale, who's pitching extremely well. They've got Ronaldo Lopez coming back. The rotation should be in pretty good shape. Schwellenbach and even Charlie Morton. So given that, maybe there is an impetus for them to make another good run. Problem is, they have not performed offensively this season the way any of us anticipated. And Brian Snitker said this. They expected some regression. It was only natural after their record-breaking offensive season last year. But this kind of regression, even without Acuna, it's not something that they expected. So I would expect they have one more run in them, and they're not done yet. But an executive with another team made an interesting point to me yesterday, and maybe it was wishful thinking. He said, listen, these guys, they're used to winning the division. They're used to winning 100 games. That's who they've been the last few years. How excited are they going to be to compete for the third wild card? Will they be as hungry as maybe the Giants or the Mets or the Cardinals? It's a good question, but that's a professional clubhouse, and I would think that they are going to be fired up just to get in, thinking that if they get in with their pitching, they can cause damage.
Scott was talking about vacation. I just want everybody to know, just because me and Ken were on vacation at the same time, we were not down the shore together, okay? Ken and I did not rent a house with our families and eat Mound's Donuts down in the Jersey Shore. Just clearing that up for the whole FT family, okay?
I'm sure they were all just...
I would have been cool with that, Eric. I've spent many times down at the Jersey Shore, and it's always a blast.
Kenny's a big boardwalk guy. I know that.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Ken was at an undisclosed location.
Yeah,
AJ.
Undisclosed.
Yeah, undisclosed location, as you hear on Fair Territory. Ken, thank you. We'll see you Thursday on Fair Territory.
Sounds good, guys.
Ken Rosenthal, FT Senior Insider and host of Fair Territory. You heard him on Monday. He's back on Thursday with the show, which is live 12:30 Eastern time. So catch that on the FT YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcast. Type in Fair Territory. Be right back on FT with picks, locks, game preview. I just want to take a second, first off, to remind everyone, if you're just with us on the YouTube chat and you weren't with us about an hour ago, pretty cool guest coming up on Hot Sheet on Baseball America's YouTube channel. We're going to talk to Charlie Condon. It'll be JJ Cooper and myself and some of the Baseball America friends, hosts, talent, the whole deal there. So we're going to talk to Charlie about life soon to be in Colorado, which, it's not the worst place to get drafted. I mean, for winning, it's a problem, but for hitting, it's not really a problem. And this dude was raking this year in college ball. I know it's different, but he also has a chance to be, he doesn't care about this, but the top prospect, Baseball America's list is mostly full of guys that are graduating from it. So, by the offseason when they come out with the next list, he could be up there. One of the new guys, Bassana could be on there. One of the high-level draft picks.
I don't know how it was for AJ coming out of high school, but you come out of college, even from a Division III school like I came, you're all about winning. So right now, Charlie Condon is, yes, he's very aware of what the Rockies do in the big leagues and have done since 2018, but he's about winning. And if you have a guy that's a superstar in the minor leagues and can push maybe some other guys to help come up to the big leagues together and they win together, maybe they could change it. Maybe one guy can't change it, but a group of guys can be changed by one guy if he wants to win.
That would be a good headline, AJ. Can Charlie Condon save the Rockies? The
I don't think so.
cover
First
of
of all,
BA's.
first of all, he went to Georgia. He's not used to winning in baseball. Okay, let's just establish that right
Here we go.
I wish
let's
you
just make
didn't
sure-
take naps after the show, so you could come on the show with Charlie.
Let's just make sure that we establish that. Okay, they might be good in football, but baseball is not their sport.
Okay.
Yo, we had Florida people on today. I'm surprised. You know, he was showing his utmost discipline. We had who? Luke Weaver went to
Luke Weaver's
FSU.
from Florida. Yeah,
Right, and went to FSU.
Yeah.
Bailey's a North
Bailey's
Charlotte
from
guy.
North
Oh
Carolina.
yeah, Bailey, Charlotte. But Weaver, Weaver's from the land, I think it was,
yeah,
right?
he went to Florida State.
Yeah. So there you go.
He showed his restraint.
They also don't
Did.
know anything about winning in baseball. Florida State.
Nobody knows anything
Not in the
about
last,
winning
not in the
except for-
last long time.
except for you.
Not in the last ever because they've never won.
Oh, they never won a championship, FSU? Wow.
Mm-mm.
How many does Florida have?
One.
One. Okay.
BetMGM locks, but first, the free game of the day. It's a good matchup this week. We said it would have playoff vibes. I mean, yesterday obviously played up to the pitching matchup with Snell against Snell, but it's Braves-Giants, 9:45 East Coast time, so 6:45 on the West Coast. Quickly looking up the pitching probables to make sure
Charlie.
I don't butcher it.
Oh,
But
Chuck Morton versus old Mr. Harrison.
nice. Okay. So young pup versus grizzled vet tonight. And
Probably an under.
Soler going up against his former ball club. Again, see if there's more offense this time around. 1-0 yesterday. So from that game, AJ picked Snell and Sale to hit their K-props. We addressed it earlier. Nailed that. No sweat bet. Plus 250. Good dub for AJ. I was locked in on the Red Sox and the Rangers. I was pissed when we get to extras. Anything can happen. Rangers get a run. Red Sox get 2. So I was also rooting for a little offense for my boy Kratz, but you got
Didn't happen.
hooked. Because it was
Didn't happen.
5-4 was the final, right?
Tyler Malley pitched well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
You
hooked by the 9.
Mm.
But when you're down, you're down.
You're dead. This is the first
Bad.
time someone's been down in a minute in our little crew.
Bad.
AJ?
I'm not down.
bad.
I'm up. 996.
All right, so let's see.
But
If,
get you that $4 today, AJ.
Yeah.
Let's get you that. When my teammates win, I win.
yeah,
That's the beauty
true.
of playing on the bench.
Well, that's also because you place bets for all of us.
I do.
Like
I do.
he'll tell all of our bets most nights. So
Yep.
I'll get
Even
a
last
text.
night, I was loving AJ's. I mean,
You did?
I'd go to bed early. I didn't even need to watch the end of the game.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, AJ. My account appreciates it.
Mhm. All
That
right,
was
so
an
you
easy
lead
one.
off.
All right, so I'm going. I got a parlay. I don't. I'm not. First of all, Pap went wrong when he bet against the White Sox last night, and he bet on the Yankees. He should have known he was losing as soon as he
Stop.
made that bet. Okay. But I'm going over 7.5 for Tarek Skubal against the Seattle Mariners. Why? Because the Seamen, they strike out a lot, and Tarek Skubal last start had 9 against them in Seattle. I think at home he'll get probably double digits. And then you parlay that with Marlins at Phillies. Taiwan Walker is back, and the Marlins are pitching. Geez,
Galazo.
yes, what he said. What? Yes, and over 9. So that gets me to plus 281. I mean, geez, are we trying
Nice.
BetMGM?
Yeah.
Are we?
Wait, AJ, you didn't want to go with Jonathan Cannon and the White Sox?
Hmm.
He went to Georgia.
my God. He's betting with his heart again. Going up against Nestor, because some people in chat are like, what do you think? It's super high odds again. I'm like, I don't think it's a bad play. I mean,
It's not. The numbers are. I mean, actually, Jonathan Cannon has thrown the ball really well. He ended the losing streak in Oakland. He's actually been one of their better starters. Now, I mean, that's relative, but with Crochet not pitching as well, Cannon's been one of their better guys, and Nestor hasn't exactly been great for the Yankees.
That's what I'm saying. It's plus for the White Sox to win if you're going with that. Plus 240.
Yeah.
Yanks are minus 300. You never touch those games. Don't touch. I mean, if on the
Unless
Yanks
you're
side,
unless
if you
you're
want
putting a parlay,
or
together.
right, or yeah, I mean, if you want to go with the upset.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's run through ours quick. What do you got?
I got the same thing as AJ, minus the Marlins Phillies game. Tarek Skubal over 7.5. He might have 17.5, but the Mariners are leading the league in strikeouts. I think they're striking out like a 28% clip, which is bad for one player, let alone an entire team. So
Skubal
over 7.5.
For me, Diamondbacks to win by 2 runs or more against the Rockies and Gomber, and even I guess I don't get to see Ketel Marte status. Regardless, I like it. I like Eduardo Rodriguez to pick and choose his spots against a pretty young Colorado Rockies lineup and give him 5-6 solid innings. So I got AZ to win big. And you can get yourself a little first bet offer, $1,500 up to $1,500 in bonus bets if you enter the bonus code FOUL, FOUL. Download the app, place at least or sign up and deposit at least $10 into the account. Place your first wager, receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses, depending on what you throw down. And if the bet does lose, your bonus bet will be available once your initial wager is settled. And we're coming right back. So let's go over a futures pick. Looking ahead, give us something different besides what's going on tonight. Who wants to start with their futures bet? Something awards or playoff related, win-loss? Okay.
I'll go. I got Paul Skeens futures bet under 164.5 strikeouts. Why? Because they're going to shut him down, and he's not going to get there. I think he's at 113, around 113 right now, and he's only going to have maybe 3 more starts-ish. And then once they get to September, I feel like the Pirates are going to be out of it, and they're going to shut him down and give him the rest of the month off, and I don't think he's going to get there.
I love that. I'll tell that because also they're going to limit him in the starts. He's not going 7, 8, or 9 now. I mean, it's probably going to be 5 or 6 inning outings for him, even if he does 4 starts. You're not getting there if you're doing 5 inning, 5 and dive action. So that's
I'm
good.
logging in right now. I didn't even see that one. Thank you, AJ.
Yep.
And you can tail mine. Same thing. It's along the Skeens line. Jackson Merrill, yesterday, I put him in at plus 250. It's been the last 3 days. He's become more and more the favorite, closer to plus money. It's plus 250 for Jackson Merrill to be the Rookie of the Year, National Rookie of the Year. So because of Skeens, I think is going to get shut down. As soon as Pirates bounced out of it, he was when they got to 5 games, whatever it was, 5 games back, Skeens was a minus 1,000 to win the National League Rookie of the Year. As soon as they hit 5 games, it went to minus 500.
Yeah, there were probably some people hitting that like, oh, this is easy. And it's like, hold up. You got to keep in mind where the Pirates are at. All right, I'll go plus 220 on the NL West to win the World Series just based on having 4 chances. I mean, I get it with San Francisco, not likely to win a World Series, but I think even the Padres have a shot to shock the world based on the bullpen.
Bullpen. And they got better. Dylan Cease, besides his last start, actually had better numbers in his last 5 starts than Blake Snell, the guy who we're talking about having ridiculous last 5 starts.
Yep.
But he had a clunker against Miami. But that's an ace. That's a number 1 throwing in the World Series. I love that.
Who can drive you through a postseason.
And he has postseason experience.
You've got postseason experience. You got 5 really good relievers. They've got postseason experience as a team. So Padres, obviously we know the Dodgers have a pretty good chance. Like if you're going Dodgers, you might as well just eat a little bit on the plus money and pick the NL West because you then throw in the Diamondbacks as well. So anyway, you can see more on the BetMGM Roar blog. We're going to post our picks on there as well. If you want to check that out, just type it into Google or we'll post this clip tomorrow. And we'll be right back on FT to Slap.
I'm going to ask you this. Was Shohei Ohtani contract worth it?
I mean, I don't know if it's worth it, but it's not my money. He's the best player I've ever seen. He's the best player. I mean, were any of us worth our money? I don't know. I just feel like
I was worth all my money. I was worth every cent. I should have got more money.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't very good, so I was probably, I don't even know if I know I wasn't worth my money, but I think the reality of it is, I mean, it's the marketplace, man. I mean, this guy is an iconic player. He is somebody. It's hard. I mean, they talk about unicorns, man. This is what he is. He's maybe one of the best pitchers in baseball when he's healthy. And he's clearly one of the best offensive players. I mean, Aaron Judge has a lot to say about that because he's a beast. But I mean, Ohtani's just amazing, man. The fact that he's done what he's done as far as the power and speed in the game, and what he's accomplishing right now is just amazing. And you cannot discount that, even though he's a DH. I mean, this. I mean, is Soto going to be worth $500-700 million? I don't know. But all I know is that he is in the huge market. I think that at the end of the day, the LA Dodgers are going to be pretty damn happy that they made this deal.
Let's slap. I know a lot of you are excited, or at least some of you, about the Zebby Matthews debut coming soon for the Minnesota Twins. We talked to Bailey Ober a little bit about him, but did you see who's on the other side of that pitching matchup too?
I did.
The Royals Twins.
I didn't.
Cy Young contender Seth Lugo.
I don't think he's going to win it, but he's.
But that's the one.
Yeah.
I mean, for the casual baseball fan tonight, if you're just browsing around or your team is playing, I don't know, during a different time, it's a good one. If you were into Sale and Snell yesterday, it's not the same pitchers. But I'm saying if you want some names and some stories to it, watch Lugo against Matthews. So good shout out there. But thanks to Bailey Ober for joining us earlier and giving us a little insight there. Kratz hats, what do you got?
It's pretty
Columbus
Clippers.
That's a Clipper right there.
That's a Clipper.
But I think what you need to do is like point out some intricacies. So
totally.
Now that I'm sitting next to you,
The water, the laces in the sails.
the seams, right?
The seams,
Yeah.
The seams of a baseball that go up the sail. It's hard. It's hard to see
not
it
gonna
there.
see it.
Not going to see it.
Yeah.
But it's little intricacies that people put a lot of work into it. I know Columbus. I know Lehigh. I wear a lot of their hats. But
Sorry,
they
you
put
played for them, and they have alternates.
and they have a lot of alternates that people put a lot of time into this stuff. So this is a cool one. This is a cool one.
Shout out to the graphic artists out there, super talented.
Minor league baseball.
Yeah,
Creativity galore.
you post them sometimes so that maybe people can see the stitching there. By the way, yes, good shout out from Army in the chat. You got Scooble, who we mentioned earlier, going against George Kirby. That's a
almost
good one, too.
almost parlayed that. I'm just worried about Kirby's strikeouts. I mean,
You almost
Detroit.
parlayed the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to get back in the dubs. I'm struggle bus city right now. But
sometimes you got to play it safe.
Yep.
Right there. Also for the Phillies, I think some people forget how good Ranger Suarez was at the beginning of the year, and he's been out for a minute, and he faced live hitters in batting practice today. So that'll help the cause, especially when you have some dudes not playing their best ball right now. Like
they're struggling.
Yeah, Sanchez has fallen off a little bit.
They're like
right?
They're like a 4-6 team when they're struggling. They need to be They need to be a 500 team when they're struggling. It's one game. They had a couple didn't bounce their way, but they got waffled by the Diamondbacks, who waffled them the last 2 games of the NLCS last year. So they need to make the adjustment.
This is what happens though, and it's around mid-August where you see certain teams that have been chilling for a while start to take off. The Diamondbacks were one of those teams last year. Nobody was too high on the Diamondbacks last year. I think people were high on them heading into the season. But I don't think people
this year or before the season.
Even last year, I think people not high like World Series high, but I think people were like, "Hey, the Diamondbacks should make some noise." We
picked their over.
Yeah.
I think a lot of pundits thought they were going to be better than what the numbers said they were supposed to projected to win.
Right,
and they obviously did that.
Also, news coming in on River Ryan. He's having Tommy John surgery. So, I mean, that was expected when you heard elbow and they said he's done for the year. But now we actually get the news that the Dodgers lose another pitcher to TJ, which sucks. Totally sucks for everyone. So anyway, if you're watching on YouTube right now, please subscribe if you haven't already. Get involved in the chat and join us for tomorrow's show as well. I'm trying to find on the fly who's with us tomorrow. But
I'll be here.
I know you'll be here. I'll be here as well.
Erik Kratz.
Yes.
Scott Braun.
I know Cam's joining us again this week, isn't he?
Kip is on Friday.
Kip on Friday, Mr. Savannah Banana. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, people. All right, bonus, few minutes. You know the deal, YouTube fam. So I wanted to do my 2 minutes on the soapbox today on the Rockies, since I think this is back-to-back days we've talked about them. We're going to talk to Charlie Condon on Baseball America Hot Sheet coming up in a few minutes. But someone in the chat was mentioning a few other standouts that we really haven't talked much about this year. Ezequiel Tovar has had a really nice follow-up season. There were some super stat nerds that didn't like the peripheral numbers from him at the plate last year. Great defender. But you forget sometimes that you don't completely label a player based on his peripheral stats like chase rate, hard hit, the whole deal in his first season. When he's a baby. You can't always do that. There are definitely great indicators, and it's helpful to know what you need to work on, but also they're the best players in the world. Sometimes they can improve in that department. And same story with Brenton Doyle. I mean, last year he was making ridiculous catches, and he's doing that again this year, but people were like, oh, he's just going to be a glove guy. It's like,
he's just going to be a gold glove guy?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just
a gold glove guy. And they're like, he doesn't need to hit much because of the way that he plays the outfield. But it's like, wait. I mean, I know he's in Colorado, but he's got almost an 800 OPS, and that's why I like OPS plus, because that's going to balance you against the rest of the league. He's 112. He's above average hitter, and he's one of the top, 3 defenders in the outfield in baseball?
Well, clearly he was the top one in the National League last year.
Yeah.
Varsho left the league, and it's like you get an opportunity to get some defensive runs saved. Yeah. I think both those guys, and I think Tovar's story, he's literally a baby. He's not like you're talking about. Like Charlie Condon is almost the same age, and Tovar has 1,000 at bats in the big leagues.
Yeah, he's 23, and he
still has cake in the fridge from his birthday. And to me, I also think, and it happens to different players from different countries, but a young guy from Venezuela now gets a contract. You start to learn in the big leagues. You start to know you're going to be here. You know that everyone's hating on your offense and all that stuff. You don't have to just play defense. And I think it looks like it's allowed him to be more aggressive early in counts and do damage, which he has been doing, and not like try to put together these big league at bats. He's 23. He literally got, Klondike bars for his birthday.
Yeah, I'm not worried about, some of the core on offense. I do think they'll build some pieces. It's just always the pitching conundrum there. You're going to have enough of a staff to have a playoff contender for multiple seasons. It's just tough. It's a tough spot to figure out as it is. So Anyway,
Try something new. Try something that you know is going
hard.
to maybe work and maybe fail at.
Yeah, I like just getting some time on a team that we don't cover as much because of the relevancy of them not being in it. Baseball America Hot Sheet, Charlie Condon, number 3 overall pick, joining us in a few minutes. So stay here. We'll take you to that channel.